quite possibly my favorite movie line of all time is "Get your patchouli stink out of my store."
Hi, I'm Lamal, and you're listening to All Over the Place, where the fun sanity never ends, or in my case, it's never ending.
Hello, and welcome back to All Over the Place. I'm your host, Eric Porvoznik, and we have had such an amazing run over the last few weeks. Guest after guest after guest. Cannot thank the PR companies that we work with, whether it's Chipster PR or Ray Rowland, hooking us up with so many amazing guests, and we're having a fun time, folks. We're loving the subscriptions. We're loving the shares. We're loving the likes. Thank you so much for that. But tonight, we're back to a threefer with the usual cast of characters. Jim Culver, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm telling you, life is good, my man. Not the show's cooking, the baseball season's cooking, the umping's cooking. I'm throwing this one up there to the big man upstairs. Life is good. And Mass this morning, we got to partake of the body and blood of Christ for the first time in a long time. God bless Divine Mercy Sundays, where we get they break out the blood. So, does your parish? Have you guys? I think I've asked this before. I apologize for not remembering, but does your parish, as they have since all the COVID business, have they reintroduced the blood of Christ into the liturgy of the Eucharist? Or you guys?
Oh yeah, years ago. Yeah, back for a long time.
So few parishes out here do it, and to the point where I've been to 3 or 4 different churches since all that nonsense. I'll be nice, and it's only on today was the first time that I've partaken since 2020. When I was back in Ohio last year, I did it at my brother's parish, but nope. It's very disappointing. Maybe it's all the retirees out here and they're scared. Hey, you don't like it, folks, don't take it. But this is not the show we're doing. That's a different show. And that's a show where Marty would be going crazy. Marty, hello. Welcome back, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Not COVID. We're not doing COVID.
This is...
I went down a weird alley there, so another time.
Papist Talk brought to you by Eric and Jim. Howdy. I have a different
We got the
version.
band back together. We're all here now, and it's just the 3 of us. It's a threefer, folks. I'm excited.
I have a different version of the Holy Communion, and it's probably very blasphemous, but I have bourbon and oat soda.
Marty is equipped.
Make sure you drink your alcohol on Sunday morning like the rest of us, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've been to many baptisms where it was like, hey, we're going to baptize my 2-year-old, and we're getting a keg. That's the Mexican way.
It was interesting that since we're going to briefly head down this road, folks, before we get on to the threefer. But this morning we talked about the first time that I've had the blood of Christ here in the Phoenix diocese in 5 years, and the priest announced that there is an alcohol-free blood of Christ that we were going to be having. I'm like, O'Doul's? We're having O'Doul's blood of Christ? This is ridiculous. Anyhow, yes, Marty.
A question from the heathen or whatever. Doesn't it turn into the blood of Christ when you drink it?
Notice I said blood of Christ. I didn't say diet or alcohol-free wine. I didn't say that.
No. What I'm saying is, what's the difference?
I don't know. I don't care. It's like we have what is it? What's the big thing that everyone talks about? Oh gosh, so there is a gluten-free body of Christ that is handed out to people if they so desire.
Well, not to be ticky-tacky, but if it transmorphs into the body of Christ, it no longer has gluten. Jesus was not made of gluten. By the way, gluten did not exist in its current form back then anyway.
But see, folks, there's a show that we could go. Maybe we will explore this at some point. But and actually,
I feel a giant edit coming on.
Oh no, this is great because very quickly today it was announced the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees, and finally, Warren Zevon is getting in. Woo!
Nice.
Although it's kind of Marty, you'll appreciate this. It's kind of how Judas Priest snuck in a couple of years ago. They are not regular inductees. It's like the musical excellence.
Yeah.
And I also think that Nicky Hopkins and Salt and Peppa are getting in that way too. And Lenny Waronker, who's an executive.
Right in the name. Right there in the name. Rock and roll.
Exactly. Anyway, but it's expanded out. But another in the finally in an actual nominee getting in Soundgarden, Joe Cocker. I'll see Outcast is getting in. Cyndi Lauper, Bad Company, and Chubby Checker are all the regular. Oh, also White Stripes are now in. So it's pretty good, fairly eclectic cast the way that they're doing lately, and a lot of good representation. And I'm just glad Warren Zevon, one of the greatest songwriters ever, is finally recognized. Joe Cocker, one of the greatest voices, and Paul Rodgers from Bad Company, another of the great rock and roll voices, into the Hall of Fame. Salud.
Here.
You're here.
But now, folks, we're going to get on to the Threefer at hand. And today, as you can see from the backdrop, and Marty's backdrop as he goes back to the wall, is he going to lay down some tunes for us?
No.
Well, oh, no. Well, as he's getting ready with that.
I had a single horn above my head there, and it's making me crazy.
We don't want unicorn, Marty, or whatever brand of guitar that is, whatever the old acoustic is. We just want the American flag over his head. There we go.
This guitar is brought to you by the fine folks at Ibanez.
I was going to say there's probably an Ibanez knowing you. So we are doing, as you can tell from the backdrop, for those of you watching on YouTube, Chicago movies, our top 3 favorite Chicago movies. And our plus one will be TV show set in the fine city of Chicago, the Windy City, Second City. And I got a couple of honorable mentions. This was tough, folks. I've loved the city of Chicago since I first went there back in high school for a journalism convention. Go ahead, Marty. Say it.
Nerd.
There it was. I knew it'd be coming. So fell in love with Chicago in 1986, 87, and got to work there as a DJ very, very briefly in the Chicago suburbs, briefly downtown. Love Chicago. This was tough for me, and I think it was tough for everybody because there's so many damn good movies made in the city of Chicago or set in Chicago. So let's get right down to it and start with you, Marty. Your number 1 movie, or your number 3, or your bronze pick for Chicago movies.
Shockingly enough, because I really love the movie, and I'm super glad that that's not over my head anymore. The Untouchables, super cool. Came out, pretty quickly after I got out of high school, and just absolutely. Oh, Edmonton scored. Sorry. Got to focus here. So anyway, just what a cast. Costner and Andy Garcia, Connery. The other one, Fuckface McDrama. That guy, really good in it.
Well, we're not even saying his name anymore.
I'll say it. I'm not a pansy. I'll say it, Robert De Niro, but I like Fuckface McDrama better.
I like McFuckface Drama as well.
Yeah.
I want this guy Trump dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground.
I want to piss on his ashes.
Like 30 years ago, those two having a little would have been cool, but now it's a couple of geezers.
It's pretty sad.
You guys ain't doing nothing.
As we've talked about, though, folks, we can enjoy these guys' performances from through the years before they dove in the deep end with Bush derangement syndrome or Trump derangement syndrome. But the Untouchables. It was on my short list of honorable mentions, which a few years ago this would have been in my top 3 without a doubt. But love this movie. David Mamet, some of his best dialogue.
Oh yeah.
As a baseball coach, a few days ago, I showed a couple of the kids who were having some ego problems. I showed them the scene about team. And I had my baseball bat to whack somebody.
Enthusiasms.
So anyway, I really loved it. It came out at a good time in my life. I was, really young, 20, around 20. And, gangster shit. It was cool, guns. The shootout, with the stroller, or I guess
awesome.
A buggy. I don't know. I think they call it a baby buggy in Chicago. So we'll stay on brand there.
Yep.
Here on the West Coast, we call it a stroller. But yeah, that whole thing was, are they going to save it? And it was cool.
Yeah.
And just a lot of bullets and a cool score behind it and nothing else. Nobody's talking. It was cool. Really dug it.
Iconic score. Ennio Morricone. Great stuff.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, it might be, I think I like that one better than a lot of the gangster movies that everybody else loves as their number ones. I love that movie. And it's just, Brian De Palma, just the style he put into everything. The direction is probably his best work as a director. Giorgio Armani did the costumes, and gorgeous. The period, like the period, the way the period was depicted was just amazing. Yeah, love that movie. Just oozes style from beginning to end. Is such a fun movie. Yeah, huge fan.
One of my favorite Costners.
Oh, absolutely. That and Bull Durham, bam, bam, No Way Out. Yeah, there's my top three Kevin Costner right there. And Jim, we're gonna throw. It's been a while, folks, since we've had a Threefer with just the three of us, and we thank all of our guests who have joined us in the Threefers of late, whether it's AJ or Dan Schneider, Cinder, or Chris Hamill. We've loved having everybody here, but it's cool having the guys back because I get to do this. Jim, that stroller / buggy scene that Marty mentioned.
Yes.
What movie is that an homage to?
It's a Russian movie, and of course, the name is Battleship Potemkin. There it is.
There it is. I did not have to switch to this. I
can't believe it took me that long.
We keep it trivia with Jim. There we go. Battleship Potemkin.
Well done, Jim.
And I'm gonna say right now there was some controversy with that because some people want to smear De Palma's name and say, oh, that was the best thing he ever directed, and he just ripped somebody else off. But he borrowed the idea. But the way he inlaid it into that plot and made it such a fun, exciting, stylish shootout scene was really, really well done. And you really, everything in Hollywood borrows from something else. That's nothing new. But you really can't discount how much work and effort and style went into that, crafting that scene the way it was. It was really
the tension in that short, whatever, probably not even 5-minute scene. Oh,
yeah. Absolutely. Amazing
a little 2.5, 220, something like that.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna. What's that?
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
I thought you were gonna hit me with what was it? Where was it parody? Which of course was Naked Gun 33 in the third. But
yeah. Yeah.
You would
Well, Marty, since this was your pick and since I love the dialogue so much, I'm gonna set you up with the line. You got him.
Got him.
Bam! Oh yes, love it. And just very quickly, a movie, if I recall correctly from my film classes, by Sergei Eisenstein, Battleship Potemkin.
Wow.
Well, Marty, great pick for your bronze, and Jim, we're going to shoot it up to you for your bronze pick in the Chicago movies category.
Okay, my bronze is going to be the 1993, I think, version of The Fugitive with Harrison Ford.
Excellent.
Fantastic movie, great thriller. Man, 90s thrillers were absolutely cooking, and this was one of the best in my book. Harrison Ford, of course, great as the hero, and Tommy Lee Jones won an Oscar as the cop who was after him. I think it was a Fed actually, but law enforcement, or no, he was a
marshal.
Yeah, careful, we don't want to get our buddy Nick Searcy on your reprimanding you for U.S. Marshal.
That's true. U.S. Marshal. Excuse me. After him, maybe the least convincing Chicagoan ever, with his drawl, his Texas drawl. But yeah, still a fantastic movie. The director is Andrew Davis, who makes a lot of Chicago movies. He made Code of Silence with Chuck Norris and just a whole bunch of really cool Chicago thrillers. He loves the area. He knows how to utilize the locations and just squeeze all the tension out of everything. Just a fantastic movie from beginning to end. Just such a fun, awesome thriller. Made really good use of its Chicago locations and actually used actual Chicago cops in a lot of the scenes involving police or in some cases retired Chicago cops to get the not just the procedures right, but the way the Chicago cops talked, which is very specific. Nobody talks like Chicagoans, and nobody talks like Chicago cops. So there's a lot of I guess verisimilitude, if I'm using that word right, in there, and so it really feels like something happening in the city. And that's the three.
Love it. Another movie that a few years ago this would have been in my top three, but no, Awesome pick for all the reasons you said. And you're like, how many cities have an L? And then just narrowing it down. Oh yeah, great stuff.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost educational for people that aren't from there. They're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. It almost made my list. It was I had it up there. It was going to be my bronze, but I thought for sure somebody would pick it, and there you are.
Well, and a throwback to the nerd convention. I mean, the journalism convention I went to, Marty. The hotel,
a nerdery.
The hotel where they had the final confrontation. That's where we stayed. So it was cool to see that on the big screen once it came on.
Cool.
Hey, I was in that ballroom. Cool.
Nice.
Well, that is on my short list of my long list of honorable mentions. But I'm gonna do my number 3 now, which probably no surprise to anybody who knows my love of music, and that will be High Fidelity, which was adapted from Nick Hornby's novel of the same name. High Fidelity, originally set in London, but John Cusack got involved. They set it in Chicago, and just using the locations there downtown. Not downtown, up in the northwestern suburbs, if I'm not mistaken, just where his record shop was, Championship Vinyl, and Cusack, of course, native Chicagoan, and just. I love music. This was a no-brainer for me, and just rewatching it recently, and it's just brilliant dialogue, and having read the book by Nick Hornby, it translates so well from London to Chicago, and great stuff. And then doing the club scene there, like when Rob found rediscovered his DJ muse. Yeah, good stuff. Love High Fidelity. Haven't seen the TV adaptation. I've heard good and bad about it, but I will stick with John Cusack as Rob, one of his best roles, and Jack Black and Ty Luizzo. Those guys were great as well. Just a lot of great supporting cast. And let's face it, when one of his famous breakups is none other than Catherine Zeta-Jones, I got to throw this one in there.
Yep, that's one of my favorite romantic movies. It's really fantastic. Excuse me, and I consider it like the most Cameron Crowe movie not made by Cameron Crowe.
Oh, good call. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and made by Stephen Frears, a British filmmaker who mostly does period pieces. So kind of an odd choice, but he absolutely nailed it. He got the city's aesthetic down, and all the character relationships are fascinating. And John Cusack is pre-Meltdown is really good in it. He's this kind of fascinating hero because he's so flawed, such a flawed person through and through, but just has so much likability that you kind of root for him anyway. And hope that he learns some lessons from what he's going through. And it's such an entertaining watch to see him kind of go through this kind of romantic journey through his it's actually almost an internal journey because he's going through all his exes and trying to learn things about himself. But it's really, really fun and entertaining to watch, and funny as hell. The scenes with Tim Robbins just get me every time. He's so funny.
Those two work so well together in small or large doses. So yeah, I'm glad you got Tim Robbins in there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Quite possibly my favorite movie line of all time is "Get your patchouli stink out of my store." Absolutely love it. So yeah, great movie. Huge fan of that one. Good pick.
And one of the greatest compliments I ever got when we saw this as a screener when I was still working at Disney, and we get out of the movie. My friend Dennis just looks at me, and Holly, our little department, they both just look at me and said, "That's you. That's you." For better or worse, yeah, that's me. Oh, and that's very. It's been a while. I got to put it up there again. If I'm not mistaken, Jim, this was the second movie that Cusack and Frears did. Did not Frears directed The Grifters, correct?
Grifters. Yes, that's correct.
Look at that. Trivia with Eric and Jim. We're back, folks. I love it.
I will say, as much as I like that movie, it's the one that made Jack Black a star. So that, that kind of takes the wind out of it a little bit. But, who knew where that was going to go in the future? So
yeah, but we still got School of Rock from that. There's still a lot of good that came from that before his descent, like so many did. But
I hate Jack Black. Actually, I don't know. I think he's great. Most things he does, it's a little of the same stuff, kind of Chris Farley-esque. He did a lot of the same, but brilliant. John Belushi. It's really good. Like, I don't know. But, people, I don't know. Can't agree with everybody.
I liked him for about 10 years. He started to really grate on me after a while with the
Well, he did
sweaty intensity.
He didn't grow a lot. He didn't grow a lot.
Yeah.
He stayed, I think he tried, the King Kong thing and a few others recently where he tried to do some drama, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what's the movie that he did with Linklater? Was that Bernie that he did with Linklater?
Yeah, Bernie, the one where he was the Texas Undertaker.
Yeah,
guy.
I thought that was a real good switch in direction. So, but
I don't know. I have a hard time seeing anything but Jack Black in his acting, even in a movie like that. But maybe that's my problem.
Somebody's a snob.
We're gonna do. We have trivia with Jim, and before we go to you, Marty, trivia with Eric. This movie was actually the second film that featured John Cusack, Tim Robbins, and Jack Black. Jim, do you know the first one? Jack Black had a very small but memorable small role in this movie from the early 90s.
Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle?
No, this would be Bob Roberts.
Bob Roberts. Okay.
Bob Roberts.
God, I haven't even heard of that movie in a long time.
Well, that's a conversation for another time. But David Stein and I have talked about doing a Flip the Parties update of that one at some point. So
that was the first movie where Giancarlo Esposito played a bad guy, and the future Gus Fring showed everybody how evil he could be.
Buzz Raplin, great role for him. Loved it.
Yep.
But now we're going to get back to Chicago movies. And Marty, what is your silver call?
Well, this is why I asked you earlier about suburbs, how far we're going out. Brought to you from Aurora, Illinois. You guessed it, Wayne's World. Love it. It's one of those movies that is what it is. It's not super complicated, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of gags. Rob Lowe. I mean, obviously, the two guys were the two guys, but Rob Lowe was excellent in there. He did that deadpan kind of, not clueless, but really like just sort of moving forward. Didn't really give a shit when they were clowning him and doing stuff, and he just sort of plowed along because he had a job to do, and he was just really, really good in that. And what's not to say? It's great. It was, everything about it was really good. So it was a lot of fun. A lot of little cameos here and there. Alice Cooper and whatnot, and I think Chris Farley did a little. Yeah, he did the security thing. It was just it's a fun movie. It was kind of dumb, but I love that thing. I can watch it anytime. One of those movies where if I'm looking for something and there it is, I'll just go with it. I really like that movie a lot, and I don't get to see it very often.
Yeah, I love Wayne's World, 100%. Because it's set in the suburbs. It's hard for me to see it as a Chicago movie because it could be really in any suburb of any city. But it doesn't have like a unique Chicago flavor to me. But yeah.
Well, as a California kid, it definitely had a Midwest feel. So many of the references seem foreign to me. Like the restaurant. Like there's a hockey guy. What the hell? There's no hockey. I mean, I used to go to Kings games. I'm actually watching the Kings play right now. But there wasn't enough hockey interest to warrant that kind of thing, and just a lot of stuff that really didn't. It was foreign to me because I'm a Southern California kid, and so that's why it seemed at least very Midwest to me. But and that's why I asked. I mean, how far out? That's about 40 miles from Chicago.
If that, yeah. But
I'm 40 miles from LA. But if I went to France, I'd tell someone I was from LA. So
there you go.
I'm 40 miles away. So I don't know. I love the movie, so I said, "Screw it! It's a Chicago movie."
No complaints from me because one of my honorable mentions will be going from one end of the state to another in the Chicago suburbs. But game off, game on, and up to Jim for his silver call or number 2.
Okay, so I'm gonna just point out that I've only had one entry so far, and you bastards have taken 2 of my picks already for my top 3. So I'm gonna move on. I'm just gonna move some stuff around, And for my silver, I'm going to say Ron Howard's Backdraft.
Ooh, deep cut.
Very good. Very good.
Great 90s. It's got a real 90s feel about it. Amazing ensemble cast. Kurt Russell, of course, always awesome as always in the lead as a Chicago fireman. Just a fantastic movie. It really, I don't know a whole lot about Chicago, but it makes a great use of the locations with all these Chicago fires, and really fun movie, and really powerful look at our first responders and what they go through, and just good movie. Love it.
And another movie featuring Robert De Niro.
No, that's not his name anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Remind us again, please, Marty.
Fuckface McDrama.
Fuckface McDrama. Okay, sorry. I will no longer refer to him as Bobby D. Okay.
No, Bobby D. No. There's a different guy for Bobby D.
That's affection. I don't want to do that. It's out of line. It's out of line.
Yeah. Robert Duvall is Bobby D.
There you go. Fair enough. Well, before I go through middle-aged puberty again, I just want to point out someone that a guy that was in your first pick, Marty, your bronze pick, and also in your but I'm bringing him up because he's in a couple of movies that are in my honorable mentions, and that would be Joe Pantoliano, who's kind of like the unofficial Chicago guy. He's a Jersey guy by birth, but he's been, of course, in Marty brought up The Fugitive, one of the other marshals, along with Tommy Lee Jones. Risky Business, of course, Guido the Killer Pimp.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other? I so wanted to put this into my top three, but it is like my 3.5. But Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, Jimmy Smith, Dan Hedaya, that movie. But Joey Pants in that one, I love him. He's got unofficial Chicago, and even though he's from Jersey, he's in a lot of great movies set in and around Chicago. I like that. So, but that's a couple of my few of my honorable mentions. Another honorable, I'll get to my Untouchables, Fugitive, or honorable mentions got bumped out there. I will save my number one honorable mention for a little bit later. So my number two, I'm going to go with the dialogue for this was originally written by David Mamet, of course, the guy who wrote The Untouchables. But the film version, it was adapted by Tim Kazurinsky. I can't remember. He had a female co-writer on it. But the movie is based on the play by David Mamet, Sexual Perversity in Chicago. And that movie is about last night with Rob Lowe and Demi Moore, Elizabeth Perkins, and Jim Belushi. And that just such great dialogue and uses Chicago, whether it's like the great bars downtown or just playing the softball, the no glove softball, they're right on the L. Just great dialogue there. I love About Last Night. It just captures the city beautifully, and just a lot of great dialogue. I guess David Mamet has disavowed the film version. I still like it, and the play, of course, Sexual Perversity in Chicago. Great play, great words from the master himself, Mamet. But I still love the movie, and I could sit and watch it. It's like Marty with Wayne's World. It's on. I just can't watch a scene. I got to watch it all.
Yeah, excellent. I agree. Excellent movie, and it was on my honorable mentions.
Yep, good choice. I've only seen it once, a long time ago, but it left an impression. It's a really good movie. Amazing dialogue as always. Jim Belushi did not get enough of those kind of roles. He got slotted into the comedy thing a lot, but he really kills it. And he's funny in this too, but it's a more serious role, and he nailed it. He was right there with that one.
Yeah, excellent.
There's great supporting roles for him and Elizabeth Perkins bouncing off of each other. Yep. the hate coming out of Perkins for this Neanderthal.
Yes. And you nailed it, Eric. That movie really gives you a lot of Chicago, like gives you a moving snapshot of, for those of us who aren't from that area, of what it's like. And I've been there and briefly, you know, but that movie really, I don't know, it gives it a personality or something, you know, really shows you the personality of Chicago from a certain perspective, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Just captures that energy well. Absolutely. Love it. Well, that's my number 2 pick. And Marty, we're going to go to you for any of your honorable mentions and then your top pick for your favorite movie set in Chicago. Or, sorry, in and or around Chicago.
Well, you know, my one of my honorable mentions you just selected, and there's a few. The Color Money, Sting, you know, these kind of, you know, really good stuff. But hey, let's talk about High Fidelity again, because that was my number 1. I love that movie, High Fidelity. I love it so much. That's why it's my number 1. It's in my top 5 of any genre, any time. It's in my top 5, and that's, you know, I have a hard time putting together a top 5, but I'm sure this one's in it. And I know that they're actors, and they're not like you, Eric. You know, he's not you. He's acting like he's you. He's a great actor, so he was able to pull it off, you know, and the writing was really good enough to convince us that John Cusack actually was the guy. He actually knew these things. And, you know, just Todd Louise was just great in it because he, you know, so he does, I mean, he does a lot of this character, but it's just really good because I've met this guy 100 times. And, you know, I was somewhere between John Cusack and Jack Black. That's kind of my personality, somewhere in between there, you know, to play a cool guy with also his hair on fire. But so many great things. And for whatever reason, and I know there's many, many more women in the world more beautiful, especially my wife. She can't hear me. But his girlfriend, I'm not going to even attempt to say her name. Jim, you might be able to say it. I don't know.
Eben Jelly, I think is how you say it.
The Eben part. Anyway, man, with the stupid bangs and she just kills me.
Yeah, she's a Danish actress. We Danes are known to be good looking. What can I say?
Oh yeah, especially you.
I can see that Marty loves them pale. So there you go.
I do. I like the white women at. So I thought she was fantastic. Not just that she's good to look at, but she played a girlfriend that a lot of people would like to have. She's got her own career, her own thing going on, but really supportive and into what you're doing and wants you to succeed, and, you know, pragmatic. And when you do stupid shit, she just goes, doesn't get freaked out, doesn't get dramatic, just, you know, rolls with it. And, you know, like the scene where he's like, you know, marry me. And she's like, you know, really? Wow. You know, I can't believe, you know, you're surprised I don't want to bet on a guy who was just trying to hook up with the freaking the writer for the paper. Really good. She was good. I like her in a few other things, but mainly in that. And then you guys covered Tim Robbins. By the way, Lisa Bonet, my second favorite version of Baby I Love Your Way. You guys may have hated it, but I absolutely loved it.
Oh, I loved her take on that.
Man, I prefer her version. I don't like Peter Frampton's version, so I will take anything but that one.
Oh, well. Beethoven wasn't very good at his shit either.
Overrated.
So, yeah. So, Peter Frampton's overrated?
I said it. I'll say it again.
Another show. Dozens of people lament. Anyway. So, I thought that was a great rendition. I thought she was really good as, you know, this cool chick that hooked up with him. And she was like, yeah, whatever. It's cool. No big deal. And, you know, she played it off well. And I don't know. I thought it was cast really well. And another a character, I don't know if you guys agree, but for me in that movie, one of the unsung characters is that black leather jacket that he wore. It was used in so many ways, and
it had a personality. Yes,
it was just it was, you know, not quite to the level of Arthur Fonzarelli's jacket, but you know, the Fonz had a jacket that was a little more, you know. But man, it was just it was part of the movie, and it was really cool. Anyway, as you can tell, you guys said all the cool things when it was your pick, So I just sat there
You
quietly.
said many more cool things about Jim. Say her name again. I've already.
Even Jelly. That's a guess, by the way.
Yeah, well, you should speak the language because you guys look exactly alike.
That's right.
So this is just, you guys said all the cool technical things. This is just me gushing over a movie I absolutely fucking love. I just love it. I can watch it over and over and over again. I love the references to movies to music that not everybody knows, And I remember there was a couple I looked it up on YouTube and I was like, oh, sticky little fingers, like who are these guys? And Eric obviously has been listening to them and going to their shows for years, but I didn't know about them. Anyway,
Marty, you're going to be surprised on this, Marty. That soundtrack is so eclectic; it threw me for some loops. I mean, it's got a lot of great stuff that some of which I probably wasn't familiar with 75% of that soundtrack.
Wow.
Now, a lot of like their top 5 lists, things like that. Yeah,
sure.
But the music that made to the soundtrack, really good, quirky stuff. And that sad bastard Belle and Sebastian crap can kiss. that can reside with Frampton Comes Alive because there's the 70s right there.
What was the other one? There's another really bad. Anyway, that guy likes some terrible music. Anyway, Eric, I still think it's not too late for you. You're probably going to have to find another area because your buddy's already got the record store. But that seems to me like your wheelhouse. People that come in there want to talk about the shit you like to talk about and that you know about. And,
That's why I have this show, so we can talk about a whole lot of other things, mainly music.
All right. Well, then tell me about the new Belle and Sebastian.
Marty is leaving the show now. There we go. We're done.
All right.
Sad bastard music.
Anyway, all right. I'm done gushing about High Fidelity. I love that guy.
Well, obviously, all three of us dig this movie, so it's a great Chicago flick. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought it up because, I did want to also add to it that, when that came out, I went and saw it in the theater and loved it. And I had just, at that time, I had just finished working at a video store for a while, back when video stores existed. And, I had a lot of failed relationships in my wake. And I was trying to figure it all out. And that movie really spoke to me. It's like people say about Ryan Gosling now, that's literally me, it just clicks, It's like, wow, that could be my life right there. Aside from being in Chicago and making about movies and not music, but they were into music or movies in that movie too. They talked about Evil Dead 2 and I had so many discussions like that. And I was very much Todd Luizzo's character in a movie store setting. I was the guy that was always trying to, recommend stuff that nobody wanted to watch and oh really, go watch this obscure Swedish movie. It's so good. And, people are like, yeah, whatever, nerd. But, great movie. Love it. And it's got so much universal stuff. Like you said, Eric, it started in London and transferred to Chicago, and people that have never been to either place have something that they can appreciate about that movie. So,
and I love that Nick Hornby loved the adaptation as well.
Yeah. One more last thing was hilarious. This movie it's a breakup movie. It's it's a rom-com, I guess, but not in the traditional sense. But the hilarious thing is when the movie critic girl, when he goes back and they go and they have their moment and she yells at him and you see it wash over him. He's about to understand what's going on. He's had this epiphany about it. Nope. He's like, that's right. That's right. Completely self-absorbed, and it was just hilarious.
And just very quickly, since none of us have brought it up, I can't believe none of us thus far. One of the best uses of breaking the fourth wall to dialogue and move the story along.
I have that note here. I just forgot. Yes, excellent. Oh, because it moves the movie forward so well. Just very very cool.
And another guy before he went to pre-douchey into the TDS land. Bruce Springsteen, great cameo.
Yeah, that was a great cameo. I love that cameo. That was supposed to be somebody else, I think.
Supposed to be Bob Dylan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was Dylan. Yeah. But that fourth wall thing, it was great because it almost made you feel like you were on the adventure with him, which a lot of fourth wall stuff doesn't do. It's just kind of a gag. But this one, it kind of made you feel like you were hanging out with Rob and, you know, going through with him. And it was cool. I'm gushing again. I love that movie.
We gush. It's his number one, folks. We allow gushing when it's number one.
Indeed.
Or an honorable mention. And now on to any additional honorable mentions. And Jim's gold medalist, number one pick for Chicago flicks.
Okay.
High Fidelity.
We must be the same here. I'm gonna preface this by saying we probably should have said this at the beginning of the show, but for listeners, we are intentionally excluding John Hughes from this list because too easy, too well known, too obviously associated with Chicago. We wanted to step outside that little comfort zone and look at some other stuff. So in case anybody's wondering why Breakfast Club or 16 Candles aren't on here, it's not because we don't like those. We love them, but we're excluding John Hughes. So
Curly Sue.
Hey, going back to Jim Belushi, get underrated roles. Curly Sue, he's pretty good in that. But okay, so that said, here's my honorable mentions. I'm going to go with Frequency with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel.
Yeah,
awesome movie. I won't spoil what happens too much, but there's kind of time bending elements to it, but it's also just a really cool thriller with Dennis Quaid as a Chicago firefighter who kind of runs afoul of a serial killer and some other stuff. Excellent movie. Primal Fear with Richard Gere, and also the movie that introduced Edward Norton to the world. Really cool legal thriller with some interesting twists. I'm going to go with, I've already been called pretentious today, so I'm going to go with Hoop Dreams, a documentary. It's a really, really good documentary from the 90s about these two kids from Chicago that are trying to become professional basketball players and just kind of their trials and tribulations. It's a fantastic movie. If I don't recommend a lot of documentaries, but that's definitely one that would be on my list. So it's really good. And finally, for honorable mentions, Barbershop. Really, really fun comedy with Ice. Trying to make sure I say it right. Ice Cube, not Ice T. And a bunch of other great, cool actors. Cedric the Entertainer is hilarious in it as the kind of crazy guy who works in the barbershop and spouts conspiracy theories and just the old man who doesn't care what anybody thinks. So he kind of steals the movie, but really fun comedy with a lot of good actors in that one. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. And but for my number one, my gold, there's only one I can pick. And hang on for 1 second.
Oh yeah,
Blues Brothers. Got to go with the Blues Brothers. Couldn't be anything else. Absolutely love that movie. I think Roger Ebert called it the Sherman tank of musicals, and I think that's a perfect description. It's hilarious. It's completely surreal. Makes zero sense, but it's so much fun. And really captures a real place and time of Chicago in the late 70s, early 80s. The music's amazing. The characters are complete originals. I never get tired of it. I've seen it at least a dozen times, and I never get tired of that movie. It's so much fun, such a kick. So not John Hughes, but John Landis made that one, and he had this. His comedies. I mean, they're funny as hell, but he makes them really weirdly dark, and I don't know how to explain this, but he makes them really hard. Like there's a lot of violence, a lot of stuff blowing up, a lot of random stuff. He really doesn't sugarcoat his jokes, I absolutely love the Blues Brothers. It's so much fun. Obviously started as an SNL. Marty, you brought up Wayne's World. I would argue it's hard to say whether Wayne's World or Blues Brothers is the best Saturday Night Live movie. I think they might be neck and neck because they're both amazing. But
I think the correct answer there is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I would actually be more specific and say Blues Brothers. They were on my list, but I knew one of you guys was gonna So
Just maybe slightly a cut above because I love Wayne's World so much. But yeah, Blues Brothers.
I really do. But man, the Blues Brothers, it's iconic to me. It's better than a movie that I really like. It's pretty. I was a little kid and I was trying to find ways to be cool, and those guys were cool in the weirdest way. Just doing dumb stuff and just doing it cool.
Endlessly quotable. I could go on and on forever. That's a movie that my dad, Big John Landis, Animal House fan, we watched, again, much to mother's chagrin, watching Blues Brothers when it came out. I was 10 years old when that one came out. So yeah, it's Jim, I've always loved you. I realize it's one of the Illinois Nazis who says that, not one of the Blues Brothers, but again, endlessly quotable. And
I hate
you're going to be looking phony without any teeth there, Stein.
I feel very left out that I don't have a hat.
I feel like you don't have a fedora, man. A black fedora. You don't have one?
Oh, I've got the hats. I just don't have them.
Don't have it handy. Well, see, I went and got it when I had Jim in single shot. You could have gone and gotten it then. Come on, Marty.
Can't think on my feet.
We don't rehearse all the time, folks. We don't. But yeah, Blues Brothers. I said earlier that Running Scared would be my 3.5. Much like Jim brought up, like the John Hughes movies. To me, Blues Brothers is Chicago. So I mean,
100%.
There's so many other great Chicago movies, but Blues Brothers is Chicago. So that's why you didn't see it on any of my lists or even an honorable mention yet. But yeah. Awesome call, my friend. Awesome.
And something I've always said about this movie is the clothes make that movie. Absolutely make it. That movie would not work without the black suits and the black hats and the sunglasses. If it was the exact same movie and these guys were wearing Bermuda shorts and tank tops, it would be ridiculous. Nobody would care about it. But the outfits absolutely make it.
Yeah, for sure. They're wearing those
candy suits that those guys are wearing down at the TikTok Inn.
Yeah, they're wearing those suits, and it's not clear exactly why. I mean, it's
right,
kind of clear, but still not very clear why. They're just on an adventure wearing a suit.
It's so surreal. They're wearing suits. They're driving around in a police car. Like they're just not. They're
weird visual.
Yeah, it's very visual, and they're just what they're doing is so in contrast with how they're acting. Because they're acting all like buttoned up. They got suits on. They're driving the cop car, but they're just causing mayhem everywhere they go. And it's just kind of a hilarious visual, whatever you want to call it, visual swap out for what they're doing.
Yeah, contrast.
Thank you.
You've got to be dressed dapperly when you're on a mission from GAD.
Mission from GAD.
Well, from Illinois and Bob's Country Bunker down to Joliet Prison and all the way up to Lake Wazapumani. Big ups for the Blues Brothers.
Indeed.
But now we're going to get to very briefly, and that we brought up earlier, like certain movies that could be set anywhere, but that don't have that real Chicago feel. But Judgment Night was like that for me.
Ooh, good one.
Good
like pick. I didn't even think about that.
It's a B movie kind of thing, but great soundtrack, phenomenal soundtrack. And but no, I had to bring that one up. That's an honorable mention. But my number one is, oh God, it just came out of nowhere in I think 2006, and I was not too far removed from my divorce. But Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn in The Breakup, I think, is a fantastic, phenomenal movie that uses Chicago so perfectly, and doesn't hurt that you've got Vince Vaughn, not Chicago native, but did most of his growing up there in Chicago. I always associate him with the city, and he
looks like a Chicagoan.
What's that?
He looks like a Chicagoan.
Well, and he looks great as a Chicago Pollock, as one of the three brothers, and a self-described Pollock in the movie. Coming in, and Cole Hauser and Vincent D'Onofrio, great as his brothers, the three brothers. The tours of Chicago, and as with Vince Vaughn, you don't know how much is just him riffing, and how much is actual dialogue. Yes. But Peyton Reed, the director, who I think up to that point had just done Bring It On, that was his biggest claim to fame, or he had maybe done the one with Renee Zellweger, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Why am I blanking on his name now?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. He may have done that stylish romantic comedy.
Oh yeah, Down to You, I think it was called.
Yeah. But Peyton Reed, I think he did the direction on this one. He just it's prime Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn just riffing together so well. Just two people just wanting to destroy each other in a 2-week period.
Oh man, those argument scenes are hard to watch.
Oh, good Lord. But John Michael Higgins, great as her brother. Joey Lauren Adams as the sister. Got Justin Long, a great supporting role. Nancy Davis, as the boss. It's so good. And
Stacked cast.
Bring Chicago. It involves the city where there's a Cubs game, or just again the bar scene there, and just love the breakup. And like Jim said, it's very difficult to watch a lot of the scenes, but it's Vince Vaughn and Aniston make it entertaining, and a great cameo appearance from the old 97s as well.
Wow.
I forgot all about that. I have to go rewatch that sometime.
Not to be confused with the new 97s.
Of course not. And some good video game action in there for you too, Jim, with him all with Vince Vaughn always resorting to his video games and or playing pool. But so there's our top three, our threefer, and some honorable mentions for the city of Chicago. And now we're going to shift our focus from movies to TV shows. And we can lose our hats and what little hair's left up there. Off the door.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Go off.
So
Marty, you're breaking up again. You're breaking up. Where do you go? So, top TV shows, and this wasn't as difficult as the movies for me, but Marty, we're going to start with you. And what did you come up with for some honorable mentions and your number one pick for Chicago set TV shows?
All right. Well, I'm going to go easy on the honorable mentions because it's likely that it's one of you guys' pick. But there's a few in there. Bob Newhart, which I was very, very young. I think I was even reruns. I was watching that. But one of the few shows when I was a little kid, adult shows that I kind of laughed at. I was my first venture into kind of funny, adult funny. There was another one when I was a little older, but still a kid. Perfect Strangers was good for the time. It was a fun show. Nothing special about it. I don't want to go too far. There's a bunch of others. There's a couple of big ones in here, but I'm not going to mention them because it'll be on your. Oh my. Anyway, so mine is none of the ones you would think. None of the big ones. There's two really big ones on my honorable mentions list that you would think maybe that would. Nope. It is a show that it wasn't huge, but hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. The League. It's a group of college friends, actually group of high school friends, college friends, but they all stayed friends and they were in a fantasy football league together. They all live in Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago, little in both. And just, man, the hijinks and the constant shit they put each other through reminds me of a few of my really good friends. It's just constant abuse, which is, it's love disguised as abuse, I really care about you if I get you good with a really good insult, or, I crack you in some way that makes you look ridiculous. It's because I care. That's how I show people. That's how I show affection. And that's this whole show is them just running each other into the ground nonstop. And, fantasy football it's there. It's in the background. It's what the show's about, but so good, so good. And there's a really good cast of characters for the main characters. And then there's a semi-main character, became a main character. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Jason Mantzoukas. He's done some other stuff now. He's Jim.
You're close enough. Mantzoukas.
Mantzoukas has to be. Anyway, his name was Rafi, and he was freaking brilliant in there. Just so funny. I mean, what stupid little tiny jokes like, pocket dog just had a hot dog in his pocket. Like, why offering a guy? Just a ridiculous character, but so funny. and most crass things that he said. And I just love the show. I know it's not a big show outside of fantasy football fans, but it's worth watching because it's not really about fantasy football. It's about the group of friends, and fantasy football is just sort of the setting. But it's in Chicago, and some of them actually live in Chicago, not the suburbs. So, and they go to the bar. There's the bar they go to all the time is in Chicago. So, anyway, love that show. And you guys can go on now because the honorable mentions are the ones you guys are going to pick.
Well, I'm glad that you brought this up because this is the one I said. I can't believe it was pre-show or early in the show. This is the one. If you didn't pick this one, I was going to be disappointed. I had a very strong feeling you were going to be going with it.
Okay.
And I think it didn't really set itself about Chicago, but the city played into the show enough, and they were able to bring in some bears and just the fact that it was Chicagoland, the Metro Chicagoland area. It made it easier to get professional athletes on there. So yeah, I really dug the show.
Yeah,
and the brother Taco, can't go wrong with some Taco.
No, Taco was fantastic. Just the lovable idiot, but also easily picked up women. Just good. The characters were formed very well. They got on the talent tree. If you play video games, they had really weird, different, offsetting talents. Every one of them, and really well constructed. So love that show.
Great
really
call. I'm glad you picked FX as the lead because that's where I thought you were going to go that direction. So there we have it. And we'll have
like an old married couple.
There you go. And but before we get to the reason why I gave Marty the finger, we're going to go up to Jim for his picks.
Well, first off, let me say thanks for that recommendation because I have not seen the league. I remember seeing the ads for it on TV, but I never watched the show. So, having heard both of you folks speak so highly of it, I'm going to have to check it out for sure. Okay, so on to my honorable mentions. First is ER. Which is obviously set in Chicago. Love that show. ER was a great show, but to me, it never really felt like a Chicago show. Again, it took a place almost entirely in the hospital, so it really could have been set anywhere. It didn't really feel like a Chicago show. It was just a medical show. And by the way, if that show is accurate to what happens as far as medical emergencies, then Chicago must be a hellhole because
It is.
Yeah, they really. It was like every episode was a plane crash or a shootout or something. It's like holy shit. Let's never go to Chicago. But yeah, still a good show though. Boss, a show with Kelsey Grammer, only lasted a couple of seasons. But Kelsey Grammer playing a Richard Daley type politician, corrupt to the core, but utterly fascinating to watch. I think that might be his best acting. He's really good in that show. If you've only seen him as like Fraser Crane or these kind of pompous intellectual types, his acting in that will blow your mind. It's so good and so different from everything else he's done. But yeah, really good show. And just kind of about the Chicago machine, all the political corruption and how nothing gets done without it. And yeah, it's a really fascinating show. And I'm going to go with The Untouchables from the 90s. I never saw the 50s version with Robert Stack, although I've heard it's good. I got to see that one of these days. But the 90s version I really liked. It had the great William Forsythe as Al Capone, and kind of a younger version of the what would you call him, Marty? Younger version of that guy.
Yes. His name is Fuckface McDrama.
Yeah, that guy. He played. William Forsythe played a younger version of that guy's take on it, and just fascinating to watch him operate and become the that crime lord. But yeah, that was a really fun 90s show. It really didn't get enough attention. I really liked it. But anyway, those are my honorable mentions. My pick for TV show is a show called Due South, made back in the 90s.
Yes.
As you can tell, my love for 90s things is is trapped in amber and always will be. But but it's a really, really fun, good show that came out back in the 90s. It was about a Mountie from way up north in Canada who comes down to Chicago to chase a criminal, and ends up kind of attached there as and partnered up with a Chicago cop to catch criminals together. And they have kind of a I don't know, they've kind of a Lethal Weapon kind of relationship where one's a much nicer guy than the other. And, the Chicago guy is the typical Chicago cop who, all elbows. And then this super nice, friendly Mountie guy that's just being polite to everyone and holding doors open for everyone and won't carry a gun, but so he has to throw stuff at the criminals and stuff like that. And, and he has a deaf wolf who follows him around and helps him catch bad guys. But yeah, just a really, really fun show, really good show. Really, really cool cop show. Just a kick to watch. Probably the most dramatic role I've ever seen Leslie Nielsen do. He had an arc on there as a retired Mountie. And he was really good in that. I'd seen him in some of his early work doing dramatic, but as a seasoned actor, he was really good on that show as doing dramatic stuff. I really liked him on that. So, so just a fun show, and I mean, set in Chicago, it definitely had some Chicago flavor, but it's really the chemistry between the actors that made it work. So,
well, because as we know, capturing criminals using a Canadian Mountie is only half the battle. You need a Chicago guy to win all the battle.
Exactly. You got it.
I may have seen the Untouchables movie a few times, just a couple here and there.
That by the way, that show I do remember, and I did like it. It was cool.
Well, you got me on this one. I'm going to be looking it up. I don't even recall hearing about this show, so I want to check out.
It was maybe 3 seasons.
I think it was more than that. I think they had at least one more season where they actually brought in a different actor to play the partner to the Mountie. But yeah, it was it was a good show. Had a really good soundtrack too.
Yeah, I think the partner. I remember he had a bit of a Johnny Rotten look to him.
He did.
Johnny Lydon more, the older version. But yeah, he had a trench coaty type look.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Just one of those shows that seemed like it was big back then, but just kind of forgotten now. But I really enjoyed it. Used to watch reruns all the time, and I always liked it when it was on TV.
So, yeah, I liked it too.
Due south, I'm on it.
Eric,
the reason why Marty got the finger earlier is because he stepped on my number one, but that's okay.
So I'm going to ask. I know now that no one has mentioned it, so I'm just going to throw it out there.
No, you stepped on Perfect Strangers.
Yes, great show. I know. So
I'm
going to throw it out there. None of us have mentioned, and it doesn't sound like you're going to mention.
No, now I'm going to shift it to my number one because it wasn't.
Never mind then. Go ahead.
Yeah, but a quick love for Perfect Strangers because that was my number one-ish. But that came about. It was just the right time because everyone loved Bronson Pinchot coming off of his role as Belky. I'm as Serge. Sorry, coming off of Serge.
Silly ridiculous.
And then he becomes Belky. But no, he was just great accents. It's fun. I love his style of humor and just his part physical, part just being goofy. And Mark Lynn Baker was a good straight man with him. And season one only, Ernie Sabella as their landlord / thorn in their sides. But I've always loved Ernie Sabella, pre Lion King voiceover. But loves Perfect Strangers and didn't last long enough. But maybe didn't last long enough or lasted just the right amount of time. Either way you want to look at it. That's now an honorable mention. The League is also an honorable mention for all the things that Marty and I briefly touched on earlier. But number one, we're going to go with the Capo de Tutti Capo. Oh, wait. Very quickly, another honorable mention, Crime Story with the awesome Chicago actor, rest in peace, Dennis Farina, a Michael Mann production, partially set in Chicago, partially set in Las Vegas. But because Michael Mann produced and maybe directed a few episodes too, so many great cameos. It was very much like Miami Vice. You had all these younger actors who came on and had their starts on that show. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Gary Sinise even directed a couple of episodes in the 2 seasons that lasted.
Gary who?
Got credited as Gary A. Sinise in.
Okay. I thought you said Sinise.
No, Sinise.
Okay. Sorry. Move on.
In Chicago, but it's not Sinise. But he great short-lived show, and my father will like that. I brought that one up because he loved the short run on that one. And Dennis Farina, awesome in anything he does. So in Chicago, but my number one will be with that iconic shot at the start of the show with Frank Sinatra, "Love and Marriage," Married with Children. The show that broke Fox as a legitimate or the beginning of its run as a network, a legitimate network having original shows on, and the start of Ed O'Neill just making a character his own, but everybody on that show, Katie Seagal, Christina Applegate, and of course, why am I blanking that one? But Bud Bundy, David Faustino, and just great people got coming in and out. Whether it's Sam Kinison had a great run on there, and episode homage they did to It's a Wonderful Life. Matt LeBlanc got a breakoff show from that one before Friends.
I knew you'd mention that.
Well, because Al like any suitor of Kelly's, Al kicked his ass, and then he winds up getting he's the only one who got a show of his own out of it.
Well, you have 2 big boner loves in your life. One is The Replacements, and the other one is Friends.
Friends, so really?
Of course, you were going to bring up Matt LeBlanc.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where I had that much of a hard-on for Friends, but I guess I do.
Wow. Okay. You're one of the few dudes that I digress. Move on. Sorry.
No. I'm curious. I'm not offended by this. I mean, God knows
I don't know a lot of guys that were super into that show. And you were.
Oh, all right.
I mean, you talk about the show being viewing it from Joey's point of view, like it was his show, and I'm like, what?
I guess I have watched
barely
enough
able
time.
to just watch it.
Yeah, I can. It's a different perspective to watch. Well, then here's some quick trivia going back to sexual perversity in Chicago.
Trivia with Eric.
Wait, hang on. Trivia with Eric, or just stupidness with Eric. Matthew Perry made his West End theatrical debut in an adaptation or in just a showing of sexual perversity in Chicago, and Minnie Driver in the role that Demi Moore played in the movie.
Wow.
Did not know that. I didn't even know he was on the
We have
stage.
Minnie Driver. There's a different hard on. Well, I'll edit that part out. It's Divine Mercy Sunday. I got to go say a couple of Our Fathers now, but yeah, Married with Children. I mean, such an iconic show, and Al Bundy, just the beleaguered hero, and good times.
So good, just so good.
We'll talk about shows being a product of their time. I mean, could that have been made any other time than the 80s? Maybe the 70s, but definitely not after that.
Well, I mean, I remember it first run. I'm old enough for that, and it was cutting edge. Like it was rough. People were like, "Oh, wow, they can't." Shows weren't doing a lot of the stuff they were doing. It was
good point. That was kind of a show that turned the corner to make shows like Friends and Seinfeld get a little bit more risque on a non.
Yeah, nobody was. It was all, it was all very, I don't know. You would catch a MASH would make a reference to something, but it was always very vague. And this show was one of the first ones to come out and just, be very upfront with it and just make these sexual innuendos. And it was just, his wife's always wanted to have sex with him, and he's like, "Oh, geez," he didn't want it. He was tired. Tired of her. Anyway.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Did that before. That was unheard of.
This is the only show where Ted McGinley did not sink the show soon after he joined the cast. The show survived for many years after Ted McGinley joined it.
And he broke the curse.
Probably true.
That poor guy.
Even Wayne's World 2, he showed up, and then that was the last Wayne's World they made. So, man, poor guy's got it.
Look at that. Look at the callback to the previous pick.
Just stealing my callback, King Crown. I like it. And that, folks, is how we're going to go out on Threefer number 51, Chicago Movies and +1 TV show. Always great having the band's back together. Very briefly before we do more interviews and bring everybody in, and just thank you everyone out there in all over the place land, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening on Spotify or any audio platforms. We appreciate it all. We thank you, and just keep remembering, share, subscribe, like. We continue to grow because of you. And in the next few days, I should have a big announcement about a particular 80s rock band coming on the show.
All right.
Baseball guy, don't want to jinx it.
It's coming around.
It's coming, folks. Bigger and better, summer 2025. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Take care. We'll be back real soon on All Over the Place, where the fun sanity never ends.
Bye-bye.
All over the place, where the fun sanity never ends.